Hey everybody, Dr. Michael Dusa here. How are you this morning? Connecticut Eastern Standard Time anyhow, depending upon where you are in the world. Thank you for joining me. This is one of my kamikaze podcasts. I had an idea while I was walking. I said, let me run back to the house and cut my walk short and disseminate some information that I was thinking on. And it's not rocket science or anything like that, but they're the little details that people may skip or omit or not even know about that can help them get a good night's sleep. Much greater than 50% of the population has difficulties with sleep. In fact, some people I know, this could have been me at one time, actually rue when bedtime comes because we know that we may be laying there all night and time drags by at a snail's pace and you know the sleep is not coming because you don't even feel tired at all. Despite working hard all day and going through everything that everybody goes through in the harshness of the world. Why is that? Well, listen, you got to take this on an individual basis. Everybody's different. There's a lot of different factors and potentially underlying disorders. But I can tell you what I do because for years, even when I had one of my businesses years ago when I was in practice with patients, I was so bent on being successful that I would do things like I'd intentionally stay up 2 days in one night, 2 days in a row. And I would do that maybe one or even two times a week sometimes. And even though I was very, very highly motivated and all of the stress hormones and fight or flight hormones were always pumping my body, so I didn't really notice the tiredness because I thought I was getting more done. I was probably doing damage, at least short-term damage, to my body and to my mind and all that. And now that I'm older, I've worked harder on sleeping because I at least, not that I didn't know them, but I recognize the positive things about getting good sleep. It's 1/3 of your life, hopefully, and I want that. I want to feel good, and part of it is about restoring biofeedback to your body because we go so long with feeling lousy, be it by poor self-treatment or lack of exercise or what we take in and ingest and what we're exposed to. That feeling crappy becomes normal and you don't even know you feel crappy. So part of the process of getting good sleep is something I like to call biofeedback, your awareness of how you feel and how you're doing and whatnot, and giving yourself a little bit of time to feel better and know what's going on with your body. And please chime in if you're here. I got a few people here. I know it's early and this was unannounced. Let me know if you have problems sleeping or if you don't, and what you do to possibly sleep well and not let that be a problem in your life. One of the things I do, I drink something called chamomile tea. It's made from flowers. There's a process behind it. You may have heard of it. And it's one of those things, I mean, I know some people who drink coffee after noon and after 5 p.m. and they're not affected by caffeine or anything like that. They're able to go to sleep. A lot of people can't. But chamomile tea has a calming effect on the body. I know it helps me. It's one of those things that helps me relax and become calm. And it works on serotonin, it works on dopamine, it works on something called GABA, and it also works on melatonin. And you may have heard of some of these factors. The serotonin and the dopamine are factors that are secreted into the body to help you become calm and relax and feel good. You've also heard that as well. And those are integral to being present in the proper amounts for you to be able to become tired and fall asleep. And chamomile helps to procure those two elements in proper amounts in your body. The second is GABA. It's a major inhibitory neuron in the central nervous system. And there's something in green tea. It's a phytochemical called chrysin. And there's not going to be a test on this. It's a little chemical. You don't have to remember this. It binds with GABA. It decreases brain activity. Do you ever go to sleep and you lay there and your brain is just racing? You can't shut it off. It's increased synaptic activity. The synapses are little areas where messages are sent, and you can't turn off the messages. And there's hundreds of different messages coming from different directions, and you can't relax because of that. You're being beleaguered by all these thoughts, some good, some bad, some you wish you could just forget, and you can't. But the chamomile helps to inhibit the delivery of these messages via GABA. It binds to it and it helps promote calmness. And finally, melatonin. You've heard about that. Take some melatonin, it helps you sleep. Well, what does that really do? The pineal gland responds to darkness, and it pulls a switch to produce melatonin, which helps you go to sleep. It's a response to darkness. Doesn't always work for everyone, obviously. But what does the melatonin do? It helps you to maintain an internal clock. In other words, a circadian rhythm, because the body thrives on regularity. It's used to getting the same things at the same time each day. How many of us do that? You know, you run out of the house, you have a bagel, you skip lunch, sometimes you have lunch, sometimes you work out, sometimes you don't. You know, you're always interrupted. So the body is always being beleaguered, besieged by outside forces, and it can't work on a regular basis. But when you get enough melatonin as related to sleep, you can get to sleep on a regular basis if you have enough of that, and if a lot of other factors are obviously in line. So green tea will help. It will help give you a chance to have these mediators present. I do want to mention something about brain excitability and GABA. I notice for me, when I eat a very high carbohydrate meal now, if you follow me at all, you'll know that I eat pretty much the same things every single day. I'm very consistent in what I eat. Basically the same thing 4 or 5 meals a day. I haven't been doing that lately because of excuses. We could say the lockdown. But I've noticed when I do eat a high carbohydrate meal, and this is for me, and nothing magical happens with carbohydrates when you go to, you know, if you eat them after 7, you hear that sometimes. But if I eat, like, let's say I'll splurge on, I'll have like pasta sauce, some chocolate, and ice cream. My brain excitability is shot to the moon. My mind becomes a battlefield. I have nightmares, dreams, all kinds of stuff. I notice that incontrovertibly when I do that. So that could tie in with the GABA here. I'm not really sure. But again, it's a matter of you doing the same things on a regular basis for yourself to help you sleep. And another thing is relaxation. Do you do this? Are you able to ever relax? I never was. But now what I do is when I wake up, the first thing I do, I'm laying like this. This is my position. I sleep like this. I lock my fingers in it. It disallows me from laying on my side or my stomach, which are not good positions for sleep. I meditate. Now, when you hear meditation, a lot of people are like, well, you know, it's kind of esoteric or woo-woo or not really science. Well, that's not really the point here. The point is centering yourself, becoming one with yourself. Let's say you suffer from pain. You can suffer from pain for so long that you don't even notice that you suffer from pain anymore because it's always with you. But when you meditate and you relax and you concentrate and you focus on one thing, sometimes you could center in on the pain, and maybe it's coming from the back, maybe it's spreading down the leg, and you could focus on that and you could better manage it. And I know for me, what I do in the first hour of my day, that's when I manage all my turmoil, my problems, things that are causing problems in my life. We all have them, but it's very important for me to focus on them for the first hour, maybe 2 hours. I don't like it to go that long. Once I manage it or deal with it or put it aside or become aware that it's there, I don't let it infiltrate my day at all for the rest of the day. That's a sign. That's partly mental toughness. You have to train yourself to be able to do that. But if you have these negative thoughts encroaching upon you all the time, you'll never relax. Your muscles are always like rock. Your body produces poisons, cortisol, disallows you from falling asleep, getting into deep sleep, especially in the first 2 hours where you want to get into REM sleep, which is the type, as we've discussed, where you're producing a human growth hormone and testosterone. You need those things. And if you're not getting into that, you're going to wake up, even if you sleep for a long time. If you're not getting REM, you're going to feel crappy, and you're going to be wondering why. Now, here's some stuff where these might be points that help you understand things a little bit better. And one thing with me, I want to mention something called bruxism. Bruxism is a condition, or if you want to call it a disorder, sometimes it's genetic. It runs in families. There's daytime bruxism. There's nighttime bruxism. It's grinding of the teeth. And I've done this most of my life. And interestingly, my father, a 40-year Teamster truck driver, still alive, still well. I remember asking him towards the end of his career, how has truck driving changed? And he said, you know, there's 10 times the people on the road, and it's much harder to do my job. And, you know, you talk about motorcycles and people getting in the way and just craziness. And, you know, don't forget, he was used to driving in the 50s, and he stopped, I think, in the early 2000s or something like that when he had turned 60. But tremendous amounts of stress. And my father grinded his teeth for so long that he grinded his teeth down to nubs. He had to have his upper teeth removed, and he had a plate put in and whatnot. And I don't know if you really have to do that. That was his decision. But listen, you grind your teeth, You disable them from the protective enamel. You wear them down. You misshape them. My top teeth have actually shifted a little. I used to have very, very straight teeth. I had braces when I was a kid. No longer. I grind them. I noticed during the day, I stopped myself. I'm like, geez, Denise, I'm really grinding my teeth. Now, I tried a tooth guard. It didn't help me. Not everybody, listen, you'll hear about the tooth guard from the dentist. They're like $600. I'm sure there's some, for some people, that's worthwhile. But it didn't help me because just having something in my mouth, the cure was worse than the problem. And we've kind of seen that in society lately with certain issues. So I don't use that. So I work on these other things to relax myself. But listen, grinding those teeth, it could be loud enough where you're affecting your partner sleeping in bed. You keep them awake. It can lead to or exacerbate something called sleep apnea. It can cause pain. There's facial muscles. They become overly tight. It could affect the nerve number 5, the facial nerve. You can wake up with facial pain. You can get TMJ, temporal mandibular joint disorders, a little disc in there between the jaw and the skull. That becomes inflamed, and it becomes painful and clicky, and it's hard to eat, it's hard to talk, it's hard to open your mouth. Some people are probably happy that happens to me. I can't talk for a while. But what happens with that? You know, everything is connected. All of a sudden, you're waking up with headaches, and you don't know where they're from. Well, it could be right here. And then that affects your neck muscles, and you're carrying your head forward to avoid that pain, and it makes you shrug your shoulders, and all of a sudden the nerves are being impeded, and you get pain down your arm. This could happen all from this. So you want to correct the problem or the genesis, the grinding of the teeth. And really that's to identify the problem or the stressor or the stressors and work on it. I'm not going to just say correct it, because I haven't corrected mine. I still grind my teeth. I notice when things are more, I don't want to say stressful, but challenging, because I don't want to allow anything to become stressful. I like pressure. It helps me get things done. When things aren't getting done efficiently, they equal stress, and that's never good, never healthy. So I've got things that cause this to happen, and just becoming mindful of it is good, because then you can try to stop. But a lot of times it's subconscious. You don't even know you're doing it until all of a sudden you go to the dentist and says, "What the hell have you been doing?" you got these little gullies in your teeth, or your teeth are flatter, they're misshapen. Or even when you try to approximate the upper teeth to the lower teeth, you notice they're no longer congruent. I get that. It's very, very strange. And it worries me because I want to keep my teeth. It's part of aging healthfully, not submitting to cell death or dysfunction and accepting like, well, when you're old, you're supposed to get dentures. Nonsense. So you got to work on it. You got to fight it. And these are some of the things you can do. Become mindful. So I wake up, I get in, not so deep meditation, but right away, the first thing I think of is what I'm grateful for. And believe me, there is always something. Look, 99.9% of the world lives on some crazy thing like $1 a day. And I might be inaccurate, but the point I'm trying to deliver is we've got it pretty good here. So you can definitely find some good things to think of. And I'm not being rah-rah, because I get down myself sometimes. But once you do that, your body produces positive thought chemicals from that. The bad stuff doesn't seem so bad. You don't have as much time for it, and you'll have less stress. And listen, a lot of us here lift weights. We're very physical. We use our bodies. And the muscles just never relax, and they're always tight, and you're always swollen in a ball of tension and maybe anger or disregard for oneself. You got to try to eliminate that somehow, or at least work on it. Just be mindful of it and sleep better. As far as sleep aids go, yeah, hey, Ed, cousin, how are you, pal? And you're a big, gigantic guy with a lot of muscle. So you probably know what I'm talking about a little bit here, And it's not always, listen, a lot of times, you're going to suffer a malady, and you're just never going to be able to figure out what it is. Attention to oneself instead of being shackled by all the structures around us, whatever they might be. If you can center yourself once again. But like I used to work on patients your size, Ed, and man, it was hard work. I don't mind. I love working hard, but you got to get through that wall, that armor, which is muscle, thick muscle, which is this, which relates to all the stuff we're talking about. It could ultimately lead to, I won't say poor, but not so beneficial sleep. It's 1/3 of your life, and try to nap during the day. I used to feel that was irresponsible, but now listen, every day, if I take a nap, maybe even 2. Hey, what's up, Simon? What's up, my man? How are you? How was your sleep, Ed? Ed, but Simon, how was your sleep? Tell me, give me some feedback here, because I know this is during the day, and I just jumped on here without announcing it. I was on with JC, president of Squats the other day from India. He has 850,000 followers. He did me a favor. We got like 50,000 hits. So I'm trying to become more prominent in my dissemination of information, because the whole idea is to help as many people as we can. And listen, I can approach anyone. How's your sleep? And most times people are not really satisfied. I don't hear a lot of people say, oh, I sleep like a baby. It's fantastic. I wake up. And, you know, listen, I've woken up where I feel like I went through an MMA fight. Not that I've ever had one. I'm not planning on it. But, you know, that's just not good. Your body never gets a chance to relax and to produce the positive chemicals. My sleep is okay. I try to keep a routine. Well, like I said, like some of the sleep chemicals that are produced, they help you maintain a circadian rhythm, a routine where your body is all of a sudden gets tired at 11 p.m. You go to sleep and you wake up without an alarm clock at 6 or 7 or whatever it might be. John Hernandez, I suffer from sleep apnea. John, are you overweight? If I may ask, you're a good friend of the group and all, and you've been with me for a long time. You can answer or not answer, but sometimes that's something people who are heavier, it comes and goes. It's horrible right now. I'm doing better, but I go through cycles that are horrific and that I can't get a wink the whole night. You know, listen, John, I like to work, but I got to turn it off because I can always jump on a computer and work on a project. But sometimes you got to be able to listen, some people, their lives, and this is sad. Some people, I remember this video on MTV when I was younger, and it was, she works hard for the money. I forgot who sang it, famous singer. And it was this video with this woman, single mother of children. She's working really hard. She's not making ends meet. She's under peril all the time. I used to be sad watching that. I think I was even in college. It had to be maybe 30 years ago. And I used to think to myself, boy, this lady can't even sleep. Some people, their lives are so bad that their only escape is sleep. You know, the comfortably numb, stagnated funk that you fall into, the forgetfulness, the oblivion of sleep. And some people don't even get that. And when you say horrible, I'm not putting it on you, John Hernandez, my friend, because I know that's not true. But really, you got to listen. You need a reprieve from the mental onslaught. Cycles that are horrific, and I can't get a wink the whole night. Luckily, it's better. I have heard from using gear, you know, anabolics, it may cause some sort of sleep disruption with a question mark. John, I'm not sure. You know, it's hard because there's not a lot of studies. We're not big on studies, too big. It depends on where they're coming from. I just don't know. So I'm not afraid to say I don't know. If you want to be my ally or be on my team or whatever it is, one of the main reasons is I'll tell you when I don't know something, and I'll get the people that are the smarter people that are around me to get you to answer that. I don't know. Sleep disruption. I haven't done a cycle in over a year. I have folks seeing a doctor. That's how bad it's gotten. John, remember, I don't give advice here. Only I disseminate information. And I give people parables and ideas and examples of what I do for myself. So I'm not sure on that, but you got to work on that because you gotta get sleep somehow. So that's what I think about all that. As far as sleep aids, you know, I used to take Tylenol PM, aspirin. It has some factors that alleviates pain, and that used to knock me out. But you know, you take high amounts of that over time. Listen, any oral medication, over the counter or otherwise, just not good for the liver. And you want to avoid that. Speaking of anabolics, a lot of the guys that use it now, most of the, if it's smart at all, they're more on injections because the route to the target is not through the liver, which is good. Orals kind of toxify the liver, which, you know, is very, very dangerous. It's not good. I used to meditate before sleep and found this helps clear the mind of the days of stresses. You got to do something, man. You got to, it takes a strong mind. You've got to be very mindful and just somehow, it's like training. I've always said, if I was good at training at all and getting through pain or discomfort, we don't really like pain, I'm able to put the pain to the side and go through the endeavor, the lifting, without injuring myself. And that was why I was able to get these things done. Guys like John Defendis and some of the hardest trainers in history, they all have very strong minds. And this isn't just about lifting or hoisting a tremendous amount of weight. It's about putting things aside and focusing on one thing at a time. And we mentioned some of the, you know, guys like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. They've said in separate interviews that the number one reason why they're so successful is they're able to focus on one thing at a time. So again, if you're being bombarded by a bunch of different things every single day, you're never gonna have any peace. It's like going home. Let's say you have roommates and you don't get along with people, and the world is harsh, and you don't like where you go every day, and then you come home. Very true. I hope so, Simon. Some of it is, you know, you come home and you realize, oh, so-and-so is home. This is going to be horrible. I got to walk on eggshells. So you go home and even your home life is not good. And listen, somehow you got to get out of that. You got to have little oases in the desert, in the storm. You've got to have a reprieve. The mind is a battlefield, and you got to have a rest from it. John Murata, working 3 different shifts for over 40 years, the ability to sleep soundly has become difficult. Now I'm retired. I still struggle to break the habit, but once in a while when I do sleep soundly, I wake feeling like I can do everything. John, that's a long run. In different shifts, it puts the body into this topsy-turvy status where it doesn't know what to expect. And what do we say? The body thrives with regularity. But now that you're retired, have you found something to replace work, something that you enjoy doing? You need structure. You need a goal to pursue. I'm not putting this on you, John, because hopefully I imagine you do. Because if you don't have anything and you start to fall down mentally and you start feeling bad about yourself and you become angry, it's very easy to put that on others who are maybe looking more happy than you or more successful than you. Now you have more time to see this and realize this, and we know that comparison's the thief of joy. We've heard, listen, you want to compare yourself yesterday versus today. That's what I do with myself. And listen, I'm from bodybuilding, and all my guys on here, we've got the best people in the world on this podcast. I'm very fortunate and happy. Every single person I've asked so far to come on here has come on. I've got some really big timers this week, but everybody's a big timer. Everybody has something to offer. But they all, you look at them and maybe we got to use them as a barometer to see how far you can go as a human. But listen, you become retired and all of a sudden you see someone maybe is ahead of you, and maybe you start putting your vitriol, your anger, your sadness, whatever's holding you back on them. And this creates a storm in the mind that shouldn't be there. But so many of us are so used to it. It's one of those things. That's the way it is. It's supposed to be that way. Look what's going on now. And listen, I don't care about politics. I really don't. I didn't vote for years because I know it sounds irresponsible. I just didn't care. I didn't give a shit. I run my own deal. Now I'm older, things are different, but look at all the anger out there, whatever color you are. People going berserk, whether it's an opportunity or it's pent up anger ready to explode or it's opportunism. I have no idea, but listen, when you're that conflicted, where you have to lash out and destroy the flesh of another, or destroy property, or deface monuments, and do all this stuff, you'd rather, it's like I've always said, we talked about Arnold and Lou Ferrigno, and they were both badly abused by their fathers, and this created a lot of negative energy. So what they do is they take that negative energy and they ferret it into hard training, and they build themselves into giants. So listen, we all have that negative stuff, and it could impede sleep. It could intrude on every ounce and moment and nanosecond of your day, your week, your month, your year, your life. But again, like I said, in the battlefield of the mind, you've got to put up the white flag and relent and fall back and take a knee, bow your head, put your sword down, and restore yourself and take a blow and maybe take a look at, become objective, look at yourself from the outside to the in, and say, man, there's a better way. Because I'm going to tell you right now, some people look at me as super successful and all this crap I'm surrounded by. Look, I'm already on to another segment of my life. And it's scary because I'm trying these new things. And I'm listen, I might have a full head of hair and all that stuff and mildly to moderately muscular, but I'm getting further along. There's less time ahead of me than behind me. So, I put pressure on myself, and I still have to rise, and I still have to, for me, exceed myself in another arena. I have to make money. I live in Connecticut. There's a funny rule here. When you go to pay for your mortgage, your rent, your food, your insurance, they want money, lots of it. So never, listen, the most successful people, and this all ties into sleep. Hi, Nadine. I'm going to read your problem in a second. I'm thankful people are coming on here now. This is good. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. What was I going to say? It's very important to feel good about yourself and feel that you're doing the right things. You do not want to lose your life. You do not want to waste time. You don't want to lay there at night and have regrets that you're not doing enough. I feel, am I on the right track? Am I doing the right things? Deep down, I'm going to tell you, I'll confess, I know I can be doing things better than I am. I procrastinate. There's certain things I can do right now that will incrementally, in a small way, make me a little more ahead each day. Maybe I'm getting comfortable kind of being mediocre for me, because believe me, I can be doing more. I never had, listen, there's something that people think that the really big captains of industry with the big, beautiful houses and the beautiful women and the cars and all that stuff, the women too, that they're just kicking back, smoking a cigar, like the guy from The Great Gatsby, toasting with wine. Rarely is it that. Those guys are working 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week. You can put them on an oil rig where the chance of getting killed every day is very high. They're going to still work really hard. You can put them in a cotton field, and they're going to pick the most bales of cotton. You can put them in a boardroom, and they rose to the top of the company. And you got to understand, when you rise like that, there are denizens, there are legions of people who are trying to take you down every single day. And if you don't want to do the job, the big account they're going to call, and they're going to find someone else to do it. So you always have that pressure on you. Are you sleeping? Probably not. I've worked with some Fortune 500 guys, and one story I like to use, this guy's doing better, but on the outside he looks fantastic. He goes into a closet every night in his 10-room house where he lives alone, kind of like Batman, but he's not. That was for you, Ray Jalali, the man who trains all the Hollywood Batman and superheroes. And he drinks a fifth of gin or something like that every night because he's afraid. He's afraid. And you think he's sleeping well, especially with alcohol. Alcohol does not help you sleep well. It retards sleep, just so you understand. So things are never as they appear. We've talked about Sherlock Holmes, and what he says is most people see, very few observe. Really look deep into what people do. Look at what they really are about. Simon, I know it's funny, but it's true. This is all true. It's the parallels and the paradoxes. I'm trying to use a lot of P's today. That's one of my goals. Stupid goal, but it's a goal nonetheless. Listen, if you don't have that structure, that goal to go after, you're going to be unhappy. You're going to put your vitriol upon others. And I think that's one of the reasons why people spend vast amounts of time trying to tear other people down, or pointing to other people, or disempowering themselves by giving others the power and blaming them. You got to become a self-contained unit. You got to become one within yourself. No one's going to come down here and help you sleep. Nobody cares if you wake up tired. Your mother can't even care. Doesn't that sound terrible? The closest person you should be to on this planet is your mama. Whether your mama was mean or your mama is estranged, I hope not. I love my mom. Okay? The only person I found as close to me as my mama is my girl Denise. Right? You spent 9 months inside your mom. Okay? You can't get any closer to a human than that. But your mother still can't help you. She can't go into your body and help you sleep. She can feel bad for you. She can give you some chicken soup or whatever. You got to do it on your own. You got to empower yourself. You got to quit looking to others, and you got to quit. I've conditioned myself to exulting when people around me kick ass and all of a sudden get much further ahead of me. It doesn't happen a lot because generally this doesn't happen with people. People don't want to be successful, and it's easy to be successful because there's no competition way up there. There's nobody else. Very few. But getting there, you got to sacrifice. You got to be an iconoclast. You got to be different from the rest. You got to wear this stupid Bumblebee shirt that I've been wearing for years. I get derision. I get noticed sometimes. Hey, I saw that shirt on the video. I don't care. I like how it feels. It's clean. You got to not just say I don't care. You really cannot care. But this comes back to your sleep. People always have their own problems, and some appear happy, but deep down they are suffering. Simon, shame on you for noticing others. Although you're right, and you're right about Mama. Nandini, I have a different problem. I sleep a lot, some days more than 10 hours. Anytime I sleep, I need 10 hours minimum. Nandini, need is a very powerful word. Need, water, food, oxygen, shelter, love. Other than that, you can get by. Actually, you do need sleep, but you may think you need more than you do. My day will be dull if I don't get enough sleep. Because of this reason, I am working in mid-shift, which will start around 2 p.m. Well, I'm going to tell you something. You hear that 8-hour thing. You may truly need 8 hours because of your own internal clock and physiology. Everybody's different. I never do cookie cutter. 7 billion plus different physiologies on the planet. If you're happy with your life and you feel good and you don't feel dull by sleeping 10 hours and it's not intruding on you getting things done in your schedule in service to others and living a good life, keep sleeping 10 hours. Listen, and don't tell anybody because a lot of people might, Nandini, they might start telling you. For some reason, I want to call you the great Nandini. I don't know why. That's a pretty name, though. I hope I'm saying it right. Listen, keep it to yourself. You can discuss it here, but unless you think you have an underlying health disorder, or other people in your family, people of your genetic chain, is it the same thing? Do they sleep the same way? Any change in habits? Is anything delegate whether you sleep or don't sleep 10 hours? Some of the things I said, some of the relaxation techniques, the mindfulness. Mindfulness is very important. Self-aware, the number one thing people lack, and I've learned this. Remember, when I give advice, it's from learning on my own. From usually getting my butt kicked from doing things the wrong time. Plus, I'm going to, the degrees will tell you I went to school for a long time, but most learning occurs out in the world. Okay, and that's where I've been. It is a nice name, Nandini. Come on now, and thank you for being here. Do you know my friend JC? Are you from Fitter? What a great group! What a great podcast I had with him. And what a good guy. JC is out there really building a better world. Self-awareness, Simon. It's the number one thing people lack. It's what are you all about? Well, listen, if you're not sleeping and you're destroying your health over time, because you are, and there's things you can do to control that, you don't have self-awareness. You're structured by shackles, a big house, the cars, the jewels, the trips, the exquisite meals, the kids in private school, the whole thing. And you have lost yourself, where you have polluted yourself and destroyed your health because these things come before you. You have zero self-awareness. And I can ask you, hey man, what are you all about? What do you mean? Let's say I ask somebody that in a food store. I'm just here to get bread. By the way, don't approach anybody and say, quick story. I'm in the deli yesterday, well beyond 6 feet from anyone. Had the mask on, but I pulled it down so I could breathe, because it's hard to breathe with the mask. Now, this elderly lady, listen, I will take a bullet, especially to practice respect and helping my fellow man and chivalry and all that stuff. But I was first in line, and this lady, she tried to race in front of me, and I didn't try, but I was there first. When the next person came up, she tried to cut ahead of me. I go, well, no, I'm first. And that was cool, because, there was no fire. There was hardly anybody in the store. And I thought it was the right thing. Plus, I was hungry. They make great sandwiches down the street. So when I was done my order, she looked at me, she goes, and put your mask on, elderly lady. Now, listen, I don't bother anybody. I truly try to help. I truly try to make my sphere of influence better. I do, because it's better for me. I don't want any discord. You want to fight, go to the Middle East. You'll get a bunch of people to fight with you any given goddamn day for any old reason. At least that's what the media tells us. I'm not a fighter. I'd rather have pleasure and pleasantries and goodness and sunshine and rainbows with everybody I deal with. So she just kind of put your mask on. Well, listen, I'm going to tell you something. Nobody tells me what to do. Simple. It's a simple statement. There might be a litany of things popping through your head right now. That was a lovely conversation, Doctor. See now, Nandini, that's what I'm talking about. You're a lovely person to be around. We are having a fair and equal and lovely exchange, helping each other with information. Information is the most powerful thing. Spies kill for it. Not jewels, not gold, not euros, not Bitcoin, all this other stuff. Info. So this lady, look, leave me the hell alone. You don't listen. Ex-girlfriend of mine years ago, she used to give people the finger. She was a little thing in the car. I'd grab her. I'd say, people will shoot you. You don't know. You don't know. Don't be so bold. These days, it's different. So lady, so I said, well, actually, I'm well within my rights right now. No, you're not. You are here to protect me. I go, well, actually, I'm not here to protect you. Okay. I'm not within well beyond 6 feet. In fact, the guy cutting the meat in the deli had no mask on. It was pulled down, and because he's not near anybody. And listen, we can get into the details of that, whether you believe it or not. And when you're using the word belief, I believe in ghosts, which means there's a window of disbelief. I only go with what I know. I don't know much about what's going on right now. But again, I'm trying to get my sandwich. But she's going on and on and on to the break of dawn, seemingly. So she kept going. I looked at the kid, and he kind of raised his eyebrows. I go, ma'am, probably never going to see her. No, maybe her son is an MMA fighter. He's waiting in the car, and I'm about to walk out to my demise. I says, actually, ma'am, this little old virus floating around that you're kind of referring to is seeking a portal of entry to attack. And I'm not the attacker. The attackee is the elderly, obese person with high blood pressure. And I won't say diabetes because I don't know your health history, but at least pre-diabetic. So it's zeroing in on you anyway, mask or no. And this is exactly how I discussed it with her, almost like I'm acting in a play. Because I'm ready. I do this. I live this. I disseminate information all day. It's what I do. And she's attacking me. And I said, so, ma'am, as far as me protecting you, you got to protect yourself and attend to your civic responsibility and take better care of your health so we no longer have obesity and the $150 billion plus federal healthcare deficit that me, still being a viable earner and taxpayer, has to be burdened by. So now you were talking about protection? Again, I'm not here to protect you. You got to protect yourself. That comes down to you folks listening right now. Your immune system, the onslaught on your immune system if you're not getting proper sleep, and the cortisol that's living in your body, all those poisonous chemicals, it's not giving your body a chance to protect itself. I don't remember ever having rhinovirus, which is a common cold. My mother doesn't remember it. I'm not saying I didn't have one, but listen, knock on wood, I generally don't get, now I get injured. I've gotten injured many times. I should have Red Cross tent that I sleep in. But I've never had many of the illnesses that people just expect to happen to them. Why don't I sleep? You know, it ties back into that. Well, I'm sleeping better now doing these things I just mentioned. You had an ex-girlfriend like that, Simon? Well, emphasis on the had. It's always the man that gets into the fight that the woman caused. I've seen that too, bouncing in the bars for years. You know, we were just talking about that a story with somebody where a lot of times, this is just from observation. I can't say it's a norm, but the girl would be egging somebody on, then her boyfriend starts getting a down home Louisiana ass kicking from pillar to post, blood everywhere, and the whole time she's screaming, don't hurt him. What the hell did you think was going to happen? Comes back to minding your own business, being calm, living a life of peace, being able to lay there, going into meditation, mindfulness, centering in on your bodily aches and pains and the intrusions in your mind so you can organize them, put them into neat little piles, avoid them when you have to so you can think clearly, and maybe tap into them for fuel. So there is some good that can come out of this, I think. So this is just all the things I do. Listen, if you're going to have stress, sometimes there's more difficulty eliminating the stress than just managing it and understanding it's going to be there and trying to manage it as pressure. Pressure's good. It pushes you along to help you get things done. But that's about it. Green tea, dopamine, serotonin, GABA, melatonin, mindfulness and meditation, always important. And, you know, in my case, bruxism, some of these things that indicate stress, some of the byproducts that can cause collateral problems. You know, everything's connected. Everything's connected. You know, you end up, I'd have a patient come in with back pain, and, you know, if I'm bad at what I do, and I'm not, I do a lot of things. Sucking is not one of them at what I do anyhow. And they come in with back pain. I don't just assume it's the muscle. It could be coming from an infection, kidney infection. It could be the prostate referring pain to the area. So again, if you're having these headaches or jaw pain or disturbed vision, it could be the tumult that you're going through while you're trying to sleep at night, and you may not even be getting into REM sleep. So I hope this was helpful. A quick 38 minutes. I'm going to go now and continue my walk. I ran back and said, let me do something on sleep because I had great sleep last night. This is some of the things I did. I hope this was helpful. As always, give me a thumbs up if you think it's valid. Share it if you would. Maybe with somebody you know who's suffering some of these same things. Maybe someone who has the same style consciousness as I do or don't. And, you know, leave a comment if you do that in perpetuity. And I hope you have a great day. And I hope things go well for you. I hope you're focusing on a goal. You have something to do. Thanks, Simon. It's always good to have you here, my man. Hey, you know, listen, I don't know everything. You know, you're some of your parts and surrounded by good people. And we're always trying to figure things out. You want to be a little better. You know, I go in 5-year phases. 5 years ago, I was a much different person. 5 years, try to think about how you were in your 20s. Do you think the same way now? No. Nandini, am I saying your name right, Nandini? Vishwanath. Thank you, doctor. Thank you. Thank you. Don't. This helps. Don't what? I won't do whatever you tell me not to do. Not a risk taker. A calculated risk taker now. Okay. But I'm glad it helps. That makes me listen. I've got enough. I'm still got to keep moving forward. But if I could prove my utility to others, it validates me. Some people think it's overly. Oh, there must be something behind it. He's trying to help people. No. It's a collateral thing. I think it justifies you as someone who's viable, someone who's useful. I think that's important to know your place. I say it right. Not always. Talk to the woman downstairs, my boss. She'll set me straight. She's great. I love her dearly. I'm really, God made me wait, Nandini, 50 years to find the right woman. He put me, I chose poor relationships because I didn't want to commit. It was on me. Blame me. Very empowering when the finger goes back to you. But now, who I have now in my life, there's difficulties. If you don't think there's going to be difficulties, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. But if I screw this one up, I'm done. I'll know my lot. My lot is cast. I will die alone. Lonely? I don't know. Don't have to be lonely, but I got that little plot of land up in Vermont, build that cabin, live like Youre Gibbons. You guys are all too young to remember who Youre Gibbons was. I'll live like Grizzly Adams. I don't know. That might be. You might be a little too young to remember that. In any event, I would live in a wayward way from how I'm living now. So again, you've got to stay in the game. If you feel that you're never going to feel good, and again, like I said, it's difficult if you felt lousy for so long that feeling crappy is fine. That's a tough one to get over. And the older you are, listen, it's all about cell death and avoiding that. We're talking about aging without getting old, and you can do that. But the more dead cells you accrue, and you're doing that your whole life, and all of a sudden you're 60, it's hard to uncover all those layers. It's harder. And you got to understand that there's probably more time behind it than ahead. You can still improve. The quicker you do it, the better you'll feel. Because you got to feel, listen, you can feel so much better. I know when I'm not on point. I'm out of shape right now. Denise says, oh, you're fine. But listen, my body weight didn't change a lot. The lockdown, I am gooey. I'm about as smooth as a newly opened jar of Skippy peanut butter. I'm usually pretty lean. And does that matter? It does to me because I'm at my best when I'm lean. I do my best. I'm happiest, best relationships, make the most money, all that good stuff. Why wouldn't I want more of that? Why did I fall off? Weakness, distraction. I'm still subject to it. It's a constant battle, constant fight that you're going to have to immerse yourself in and engage daily. Like I said about the Fortune 500, the big time people, they're always working really hard. They're not kicking back smoking a cigar, just, very rarely. They're never home. Oftentimes bad relationships, no relationships, multiple relationships, bad stuff. It's a trade-off. I mean, sometimes, I know a guy, he kind of berates me because of the way I live and some of the things I do. He thinks it should be different. Does he give good advice? No, because he's giving me advice based on what's good for him, not what's good for me. But, I look at him, big money guy, but, he's lost 2 mansions to divorces. He's got child custody issues. Look, I don't wish that on anyone, but, you're a product of your actions, and he keeps doing the same mistakes again and again. Anyhow, he's got a lot of money, but he hurts a lot of people around him. And I'm not saying it's all on him. It never could be. But if you're not home, if you're never home, you can't keep thinking like in the future. Grizzly Adams Simon, I'm telling you, he just passed away a while back. He was a bodybuilder. Did you know that back in the day? What was his name? Garrity or something? I forgot. Rick Drazen, our friend Rick Drazen, acted with him on some stuff. If you're sacrificing that and you're destroying yourself, there's a way to have both. And all of a sudden, if you do it right, one day you just wake up and you have all that, and you're already in it. There's not some parade that's going to break open for you. You finally saved enough money. You finally built enough businesses. You finally banged enough Playboy models. I don't know, whatever the hell. Maybe I thought this way when I was younger. I told you, every 5 years I'm different. I allow that to happen. It's not like I say I was screwing up for the other 25, 30 years. No, it's growth. The goal is never achieved. Dr. Deuce, the goal is never achieved. No, it's not. You'll get close to it, above it, lateral to it, below, a little kind of. You never bullseye it because things change. Things are better, things are worse. You're on the wrong track. You got to salvage things. So listen, it doesn't mean you have to be like those folks. It's not always so rosy. And again, it affects your health. It comes back. Simon, stay healthy, strong mentally, and build a better you. That's what I say. There's always room for improvement, and we learn from mistakes and others' downfalls. Yeah, he was kind of heavy. Hi, Betty, how are you? Betty, how do you sleep? And that's what it's all about. It's a 30-year life. Get a good mattress. One quick story, then we're going to, I'm probably bored. I've got a lot of people on. That's good, but do have to go and attend to things that I've got. Dr. Mark Pacheco from California. He's the first gym owner this is 3 o'clock live stream podcast, not Jeffy Longevity podcast with Dr. Mark Pacheco at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And he was the first gym owner to open against the rules of our overlords. And he's caused a lot of ruckus, but he's got a guy who follows a path directed only by him. So you want to check in on that. And I wish my gyms would open. Form some type of coalition of all the gyms in Connecticut. Just open. Can't stop everybody. I got to train. Half the members down there are cops. So who's going to tell us no? I don't know. We'll find out at 3 what Mark did. Well, I was working so much at one point. I had a condo down the street from my practice that I had a tanning bed, and I was so smitten on being successful. I didn't care about myself, sleep. I thought that happiness and comfort was irresponsible. I would sleep in my tanning bed. Throw some covers in there, a pillow. I remember it as probably being uncomfortable. I didn't care. I'd just get through it. And the more harsh I was on myself, the more discomfort I felt, the harder I'd work at work because I'd have to escape it, right? I mean, that might be a system or technique put out by some weird guru somewhere. Be harsh on yourself, you'll rise. But, life is too quick to live that way. But that's what I did. And I went away on a seminar. I came back. And my mother and my brother-in-law, they went out and bought me a bed. I ended up buying another. I've been through a few beds. And then I slept in the bed. But, listen, you got to set yourself up for that 1/3 of life. You got to be better yourself. There is a solution. And I hope you work on it. I hope you find some absolution. Let me know. Thanks again. And we'll be back here 3 Eastern Standard Time. Dr. Mark Pacheco. Thank you. And you have a great day, everybody.